Speaking of people we would love to produce for other people.
Yes. Best transitions
in the game.
Best transitions in the game.
Air horn, air horn, air horn. Kanye West 2 years ago decided it would be a great idea to go out to Wyoming and record 5 albums in the course of a several month period and release them over the course of 1 month. He also decided it would be a great idea to go completely batshit in public because he's Kanye West. And most people only remember that he went on TMZ and said that he thought slavery was a choice.
Yes, which we all follow Kanye very closely around that time, but it was building up because I remember he had there's 3 stages to this. So stage 1, early 2018, Kanye gets Twitter back. He goes back on Twitter and he's posting all this like wholesome content and like inspirational, motivational tweets and all that stuff. And everyone's loving it. Everyone's like, wow, this is the Kanye I love. Da 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 da. And then all of a sudden, as in the Life of Pablo album rollout, again, he starts posting some controversial shit. He starts throwing darts at people in the industry. He starts whatever. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to start posting all this conservative stuff. I'm going to post a picture of me with the MAGA hat. I'm going to do this. And people are like, Kanye, what the fuck are you doing? And then I'm going to make a song with T.I. where I'm going to be the conservative and T.I. is going to be the liberal. And everyone's like, Kanye, this song sounds like shit. What are you doing?
Kanye, why the fuck do you sound like Joyner Lucas?
Bro, that was a young conservative's anthem right there. Oh, God, that song is just so uninteresting and bland.
Why you trap so hard?
And then Kanye was like, yo, I'm going to make this song called Lift Yourself. Scoopity poop, motherfuckers, let's go.
I mean,
do you remember?
Once we got some context for Lift Yourself, it becomes incredibly funny. And we'll wait. But at the time, Lift Yourself was super fucking baffling. Lift
Yourself, when that song came out, was one of the most incredible things I can remember being on the internet for. Like, it was just a lot of, like, you had people writing essays about how Kanye was doing performance art. You had conspiracy theories, and this man really just made scoopity whoop poop, and that beat is fucking amazing. I remember listening to the beat, and I'm like, when is he gonna rap? When is he gonna rap? This beat sounds fucking awesome.
Well, the best thing is he did the radio interview earlier that morning where he was like, I'm gonna answer everything in this verse. I'm gonna drop the song. This verse gonna answer everything. This verse I drop gonna answer all the things. And then when he's doing the ad libs before, he's like, this verse right here. That is my favorite thing about it, is the build up where he says this verse right here, and then he starts scoopity pooping.
It was honestly one of the most baffling moments of a baffling career. I don't even know what you say about it. Like, it's so funny.
And then you figure out way down the road that he was supposed to give it to Drake, and Drake found out he didn't have it when Kanye released it and scoopity pooped all over it.
God, what an incredible moment for Kanye. And then the next week, or it was like 2 weeks, I think, a couple weeks later, he was like, I'm about to drop all these albums and I'm in Wyoming.
Oh, no, yeah, he started tweeting the album release dates. And
then, you're like, why are they all...
Teyana album. And, oh, by the way, Nas album. It's like,
right.
Nas album?
Nas album? And then we're like, why is every album coming out a week after the next one? It was like Good Fridays, but for albums. And I was just like, God damn. Because remember, if you remember the Life of Pablo rollout, he brought Good Fridays back, but he only dropped like 2 songs.
Dropped 2 songs. He brought Good Fridays back for a Friday.
Right, and then he's like, actually, fuck it. I'm just going to do an album every Friday. And then it actually lived up to it. Like, he actually dropped an album.
Shit for a second. I did not believe the shit for a second. And then Daytona happened.
And, I mean, this album...
Okay, well, we need to go back a little bit in time because he was doing a bunch of foolish shit in the media. He did a 2-hour interview with Charlemagne that was filmed by himself.
By himself.
In an opulent fucking way.
Shit looked like avant-garde student film.
he had like Henry Jaglom fucking doing like art direction on this shit, and I listened to like 20 minutes of it, and apparently like Horse says that he started to make sense in the last 20 minutes. I couldn't make it that far, and he did the TMZ thing. Well, no, wait, the TMZ thing was after Daytona.
The TMZ thing was, well, Daytona was like what, the last week of May. Hold on, Kanye West. I'm sure there's a Wikipedia page for this.
Because Ye was after Daytona, and
It was.
Yeah.
The TMZ interview was before Daytona.
Okay. So yeah, the TMZ interview happens. He says slavery was a choice in a way that isn't as horrible as that sounds, but it's still pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then so he retreats, focuses on music, starts feeding Mike Dean an IV of Adderall to start working on all these fucking albums.
Yeah.
And then the first thing we get is Watch, a single with Travis Scott and Lil Uzi Vert, which is really fucking has a great rap verse from him. We hadn't heard him rap in a while. He has a great verse on this.
Never trust the bartender that don't drink, bitch.
Yeah, this song's great, and it's on no one's album and never shows up anywhere.
Yeah, what? This is like, it was supposed to be on Astroworld. It was an Astroworld single, apparently, because according to, because Kanye was tweeting like, at Travis, drop that Astroworld single with me and Uzi on it. And Travis was like, all right, I guess I got to drop this shit. And then he dropped it. And it was great. It was great. I think the beat's amazing. I think the beat and Uzi are my favorite parts about it, but Kanye's verse is great too.
Yeah, I love Kanye's verse, and I love everything about it. It would be top 5 on Astroworld had it been on Astroworld.
It should have been a bonus. I maintain it should have been a bonus on Astroworld.
Yeah, it wouldn't have fit with the sonic palette of Astroworld, but it should have been a bonus track. Like Coffee Bean is how Astroworld has to end.
Right. But if you put that as the bonus, that's like, it's literally the sample is the kid on the roller coaster. Like, this is the last ride I'm ever gonna take at Astroworld.
I didn't even notice that. Holy shit!
It makes perfect sense to be the bonus track like that, like with the whole roller coaster sample and the kid saying that. So missed opportunity, but I'm glad it was released.
So that was a week before, and then the Wednesday before Daytona is supposed to come out. No one believes it. We hear he puts on like a listening party and plays "What Would Meek Do," and everybody saw the track list. Is like, "What would Meek do?" And then there's a Kanye verse on that. And it's hard as fuck. You can barely hear it. It's in like low quality, but you can tell the Kanye verse is hard as fuck. And then Thursday at about 5 p.m., he does a listening party, and Daytona comes out, and it is one of the hardest fucking albums I've ever heard in my life. And I don't care about any goddamn shit Kanye is tweeting or doing or whatever hat he's wearing. This album is hard as nails. And one of the best things he's ever produced. Yeah. One of the best things, like Pusha, it's as good as We Got It for Cheap Volume 2. It's as good as Hell Hath No Fury on a rap level. It's just from the first second he goes in, pulling up in that new toy, the wrist on that. Like, it's incredible. There's not a wasted...
I'm waving that rude boy. I'm waving at you, boy. Oh my God. When the split second, I mean the split second that, if you know that pause...
Oh, and then the sample comes in.
Yeah, and then the sample comes in. Oh my God. Yeah. And then you're just like,
there's so many moments like that on the album. Like,
games we play, come on, man.
The games we play is the best RZA beat RZA never made. Hard piano, like the way Rick Ross comes in on that. Shake on Santeria. Everything about What Would Meek Do. Everything about Infrared, which becomes its own little side story.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm gone. Yeah,
bro, hold on. We cannot skip over Comeback Baby like that, because that's fucking sample. That the way the hook is so different from the verses, but it transitions seamlessly, especially the second verse when Pusha T's like, on my way back to Maryland or something like that. And then it goes right back into the hook. And it's like, I need you, darling, to set me free. Come on, bro. Like,
something about, and this will be more prevalent when we get to the Teyana album, but Kanye definitely rediscovered his love for going back to working with samples in the same way he did in the Rockefeller era, like the Blueprint era, because I hear a lot of that on this album, and mostly on the Teyana album. Like like the funk style, but like the way he pitches the samples and the way he uses them within the beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fucking the minute you heard Like, if you know, you know, you knew Kanye was gonna like, oh, he's chopping up samples again. Like, this is peak. You know, I don't know if I like it more than Hell Hath, but this is an incredible album.
It's
And
very different, and it's like a singular vision in a way that I even that Push hadn't done before, because everybody talks about the Clips albums like it was entirely Neptune's, but it wasn't. There were other producers on Hell Hath, right?
I'm pretty sure that it was mostly
But I might be wrong.
Neptunes, but I
Like
don't know. I think I think there were a couple other producers. Let me check. No, I think it was. I think it was all. It was all Pharrell.
well, this
Yeah,
feels
all
like
Neptunes. Yeah.
Hell Hath, Fury the other day, and there are 2 or 3 tracks that sound like sonically different than the others. Whereas this, maybe it's because it's like twice the length, and so there are going to be some for variety. Whereas this all sounds like one like of a piece, and some people got mad at it for being so short. Shout out Bonafide, but
It's an EP.
I feel like that works in its favor just by being so cohesive.
Yeah, this is all killer, no filler. Like this is unreal stuff. I think
Kanye's on What Would Meek Do, one of my favorite Kanye verses. I think that should have laid to rest whether or not which makes his performance on Yay, when we get to it, which will be soon, all the more disappointing, because he rapped well on Watch. He kills What Would Meek Do. And by the way, for all of the shit about his politics or whatever, the only political line he ever actually rapped is on this album.
yeah, MAGA hats let me slide like the drive-through.
And you could read that however you want. Like, he's doing it to slide. Like,
Right. That one felt very tongue in cheek because the verse felt tongue in cheek. Am I too complex for complex con?
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and given what we know now a little bit, if you believe that story, like he donated all that money and said, well, we got that wonderful woman out of prison.
Yeah, Kanye, like I said, we've talked about this, well, in the now long lost Kanye episode, but we talked about how Kanye's politics will never be coherent fully. You know what I mean? Like it's just Kanye's, he'll say anti-capitalist things and he'll support Ben Carson. He'll do this, then he'll do that. Like it's always a duality with Kanye.
The thing is, my feeling on it has always been that it was part album rollout publicity stunt that he was being cynical about, part bipolar episode, and I also feel like politically, I feel like he's a sincere Christian, and that's going to compromise his politics. And given that I think that also works with his bipolar disorder and his manic episodes.
Yeah,
So,
I would agree with that for sure.
and I feel like that all cohered into this insane storm. And I mean, we got great music out of it because he's a musical fucking genius, but it also led to this public display of, and it also led to, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, there's tons more to say about Daytona on a lyrical level, and that Push still finds compelling ways to rap about cocaine. And then in the last track finds compelling ways to rap about Aubrey Graham being sucking, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
There are so many great lines on that. And the thing about it is, in terms of diss songs, it's just the setup. And he knows that.
And
Like,
he
consciously
knows
for it to
he
set up another
knows
song.
he knows it's gonna get a response. He had the other one already written.
Exactly. He's crafting it with something else in his back pocket.
Unreal. Like just the level of calculation is unmatched. Like,
And the amount of one-liners on this album you could quote, like, this is my purple tape. I am your ghost and your ray. Like, save it for rainy days. Like, so many. Like, I could rattle them off. I'm not going to bore people with it. If you've heard it, like, front to back, everybody's going to have a different favorite line on this album. His delivery on it. Another rapper who's gotten better with age somehow, and he's managed to adapt with the times while not changing his style or compromising.
Like, yeah, and I think that like he's just like, this is Pusha T. Just the sword is so like sharp, like in terms of the lyrics and just like his hooks, nothing is lazy on this because it can't be because you only have 21 minutes. And that was like Kanye laid down the gauntlet of like, hey, I'm gonna give you some of my best shit in a while. You're gonna rap some of your best, raps and hooks ever, and we're just gonna like crystallize that down to its best possible form. And this is it's not my favorite album of 2018, but it's damn close. And that was an incredible fucking year. And this is an amazing album.
It is, and I feel like Push, as a solo artist, he's always been trying to craft that classic album. He's gotten better at it every time out. Like with My Name Is My Name, he made some compromises that, Chris Brown, Kevin Costner, no one needed that shit.
Right.
And then King Push, he, consolidated, like he stuck to producers he knows he had chemistry with, and he stuck to a reasonable track length and, features that made sense. And in this one, he just consolidated even more to one producer he had chemistry with, and like the only rap features are Kanye and Rick Ross, and it's just distilled like it's completely unstepped on work. It's incredible. Like, I listened to this so much when it came out. I'm still not sick of it. I can throw it on. The length is a benefit because you can play it twice in the length of one album. You would have to replay. And it was a defining statement from both of them. Like, it's just as much a Kanye album as a Push album. And from when it came out, like, if you actually cared about Kanye from a musical perspective, it was so reassuring. It meant that he actually fucking meant this, and that it wasn't a stunt.
Yeah, it was like fucking euphoria to get something this good, because it set the tone for the rest of the sessions, and it was really just an amazing album, and an album that I think kept a lot of people's faith in Kanye, which was important, and was Pusha T's probably biggest album of the 2010s from a popularity standpoint. A lot of that was the beef too, but just being the first album in this hyped Wyoming session, it was really important for him to come through, and I mean he fucking did with flying colors.
Right. Well, as a bipolar sufferer, I know that after you have mania, you have depression, and then so after Daytona, you have yay. And this album is not as good as Daytona.
No.
But it has a lot to recommend it, and I think it's important. And I've come back to parts of it. Other parts I've tried to break into, and I can't. But they've resonated with other people. What I will say about it is the intro is really powerful, and Ghost Town is one of his... The intro is really powerful, but I don't like the second half of the song as much, even though I think the beat's amazing. And Ghost Town is one of his very best songs.
Yeah, Ghost Town... I mean, Ghost Town was, damn near... I mean, it was one of the, one of my, handful of favorite songs from that year. Incredible fucking song. The second half, just the sentiment of, I feel free, that whole breakdown that was Shake. I like Shake on the Push album, but I love...
Yeah, I like her. People not like Santeria, or her on Santeria?
Santeria is Santeria is a really good track. It's just my least favorite on that. I mean, that's not a knock on it. But I don't know if people don't like her, but I feel like Santeria is one of the songs that people don't talk about on Daytona. But this one, I think Ghost Town Shake makes it. I mean, obviously everybody does amazing. Cudi, and you know this, Patrick, I argued about the merits of Cudi on that song from the jump. I loved it. We had people that we talked to, I remember, that didn't like Cudi on it. And Cudi's great on it. He was always great on it. Kanye's first verse, the way he's talking someday, yeah. There is so much fucking tangible pain and passion in just the way he sings that one word, than most people do on a whole album. So,
oh yeah,
that song's fucking amazing. And I will say the run of No Mistakes, Ghost Town, and Violent Crimes, I love all those songs.
I love the beats on all of those songs. I like the flow on... I go back and forth on No Mistakes, but like I think his rapping on it's bad. I like the idea of No Mistakes, but like I like what he's trying to do on it, but I just his rapping on the album, and again on Violent Crimes too. Like I like the idea of Violent Crimes, but he just comes across like a shitty bullying dad, man.
Yeah, it's a weird because I love the beat. I fucking love Shake on it.
Oh yeah, the harmonies on that thing are beautiful. If you haven't heard, there are some Sunday service versions of that are just like the piano and the harmonies. They're gorgeous. But
yeah, that song instrumentally is so gorgeous, and I feel like Kanye on that song is like well-meaning. He's just dumb, which might be mean, like which might be not mean, but just like it might be presumptuous on my part. But I feel like he's just kind of being like a dumb dad or like overprotective, which I can relate to because I can understand overprotective like parenting because I've seen it and like I can understand that impulse. So I feel like that's just Kanye being like an overprotective dad, and hopefully he grows out of that phase. Because he had recently, I mean, his kids were really young, so he hadn't like. I think it's a little bit of paranoia on his part. But I really like that song. Obviously, Ghost Town. I love No Mistakes. I love Charlie Wilson on that. The hook's great. Wouldn't Leave. I like too. I don't really care for the verses, but I like the hook a lot. Yikes is great. I like all of it. The last verse. I get people that don't like the last verse. I don't know. I think it's a good album. It's not a great one. It's super flawed. If you didn't like this album, I could totally understand why. I think my little one-liner about it kind of still rings true. The like when shit hit the fan, is you still a fan? I think that really can sum up this whole album. Like honestly, so I don't know. I like it. I'm not afraid. Like I'm not. I like it a little more than Jesus is King, which I know we disagree on because you like Jesus is King a little more than me. But I still like Ye, and I think it's kind of interesting with context to look back on it.
I mean, first of all, I assume that review is unpublished.
It's not actually, so maybe I'm snitching on myself. It has 21 favorites, which is gotta be my most favorited review.
I don't think one of my reviews has 21 favorites. I think I have listed over that, obviously, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, you drown me out in things that have favorited. No, that's my most favorited review.
As far as reviews go, I'm gonna check that right now. This is compelling.
My now unpublished review of Revival had 19 favorites.
That was a great review, and also your ASAP Rocky review when he put out that song with the Moby sample.
Right, which is also unpublished. That one got taken down quick. That one only racked up a couple. What else?
Really good radio, guys.
We're looking at how many. My review of Rise of Skywalker I like very much.
25 favorites for my happy ending review.
My review of Nice for What did really well.
And then 18 for my review of Shut Up About Politics by John Rich. I wonder what my most real review has the most favorites. This is depressing. I guess Pig Feet. That was a real review, but
my review of Cal Kuchesta's album has 18 favorites.
Not Daytona, a supermarket where I just tell him to apologize to Bismarcky.
How the fuck wait, hold on. How the fuck does my Cal Kuchesta review have 24 favorites?
What is like? I'm sure it's a one-liner. Just read it.
It's quoting the album. Rappers don't ride bikes because they can't handle bars. I'm Jurassic Park. You're Jurassic World. If you get what I'm saying, you're a clever girl.
These could be Logic bars, by the way.
Why did people favor? Thank you, everybody that favorited this review. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure they're devoted listeners to this podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Coward, debate me, coward.
Oh my god,
that'll get us some listeners if I just try and get Fantano to debate me again. But
I mean, my review my review of The Rise of Skywalker was essentially that uh, I know that Palpatine dick must have been crazy. So that was that was literally the review. And hey,
I thought of, I don't know why this popped into my head, but you said that, I thought of it. Palpatine dick make him go crazy, like the Young Jeezy song. But
just we gotta put in like fucking Palpatine ad libs.
yeah, Kittenpuke, I know you're still learning the production thing, but if you can come up with some Palpatine ad libs,
Some Palpatine ad libs. My Parasite review was like half serious. That one did pretty well. I mean, it was a one-liner, but it was a quote from the movie. That one did well.
eight likes for the Rap God review, where I just said gotta go fast. I'm very happy about that.
I tell you, I don't know what my nice for what review is literally sometimes an 808 and a smooth R&B sample are all you need, and it has 18 favorites. I guess that's all you need.
Yeah, I guess that's all you need.
I guess I don't know. I putting a review out of something popular the day it comes out, and not being like an idiot, it will get you favorites, I guess.
All you don't need is the song All Mine off of Yay.
Hell yes, transitions, boy.
It has some of the dumbest Kanye sex lyrics ever, and Kanye has almost nothing but dumb sex lyrics whenever he raps about sex. And he feels compelled to rap about sex on every one of these albums except for Daytona. Pretty well, and NASIR, I guess. He doesn't. Thank God. That would be really out of place when Cop shot the kid. But
Oh my god, cop shot the kid, and he's talking about fucking sex, and I'm in the wrong hole. I think I'm lost.
yeah, hope God he didn't get his like lyrics books mixed up when he was doing these verses. But
yeah, All Mine is the only like outright bad song in that album.
The beat isn't terrible. It's kind of annoying. Believe Ballet is very annoying on the hook with whatever the fuck that is. I don't like it. There's a theory Reddit. I think I mentioned this on the show before. I definitely mentioned it in the chat that the album is structured like it's all of Kanye's vices, and then Kim promises she wouldn't leave, and then the rest of the song is his redemption, and it's like a 3-1-3 structure or something. This really strikes me as reaching, but it kind of does track.
Yeah, it actually kind of does. I was unaware of this theory.
Yeah, because you have like, I guess there's like, the first one is just, I don't know what vices there are in the first track, but he's definitely like acting out and being aggressive and angry and bleak, like black mood and shit on the 1st track. Second track is drugs. Third track is sex. And then there's redemption. And then no mistakes is like him promising not to make any mistakes. Although this is Drake, if you know. That's what I think the last line is, by the way. But I don't know if there's any validity to that. The whole slow down, you light skinned.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do kind of like that theory. Now that you just threw it out there, which
and then go is like obviously achieving redemption, and then peace with yourself, and then no violent crimes is him speaking to his children after he's achieved peace with himself.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. That's
made me appreciate the album more, but not enjoy it musically anymore. Because again, I think his rapping is objectively bad on a lot of this album.
Yeah, I think it's clumsy at points, but the thing about Ye, I liked it at first, and then it kind of grew off me, and it grew on me again, and now I'm like, I'm in a comfortable position where I can be like, yeah, I like it, but I don't really like go back to it outside of select songs. But I do have an appreciation for this album, and I do think that, look, All Mine's not great, but I do think that the last 4 songs on this are strong, and I still really like Yikes, third verse and all. Like, the song doesn't really drag to me. I know for some people they say it does, but I mean, it's 3 minutes. It doesn't drag to me, and I love that hook so much, and I love the beat that it doesn't.
I love the hook so much. I wish he didn't like fucking scream over it. Although I get like the point, like that's the bipolar and all, but still, I mean, I love the hook. I wish he kept the hook. Like, I got to hear more of it. And that's an incredible Pierre beat. Like, Kanye and Pierre are incredible together. Like, On God is great, too. Fuck the haters. I even love the On God. That's On God. But
that's On God. Oh, On God is a good song. I'll ride with you on that.
Ghost Town means a lot to me personally. I really adore that song. I had a very, very difficult personal episode earlier this year, and when I got out of the hospital, I actually reached for this album first because I thought about the intro to this album first, because I feel like it actually does speak to the mental condition that it's trying to speak to, because Kanye is bipolar and I'm bipolar, and I feel like it does speak to that, and I feel like it was constructed in that mindset. I feel like it was constructed in a manic episode, and I don't think that's necessarily conducive to great music in a lot of ways. Sometimes it is, and I feel like you'll see that with the next album. Although the next album was crafted over a longer period of time, I feel like because he announced that way before this. Out of all the albums, 4 of them were spur of the moment-ish sounding, but he announced the Cudi collaboration before.
Yeah, that one had been in the books for a while.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds that way too.
It definitely sounds the most. This one in Daytona, I think there's levels to it. Like, this one in Daytona definitely sound the most like, hey, we've been working on this for a while. Like, this isn't just a spur of the moment. Like, yeah, it was spur of the moment. You knew that. Like,
the whole story is that he had an album ready that he played, because originally the album was going to be called Love Everybody. It was going to have a picture of the surgeon that worked on his mom's botched surgery that killed his mother on the cover, and you can find on YouTube a bunch of track lists claiming to be the track list for this that are not accurate. There's actually a song called Love Yourself with Mary J. Blige on it that I can't track to an album that I think is really fucking good. For a late period Mary J. Blige fucking song, it's really good. And but yeah, and apparently Charlemagne heard this album when he did that interview with Kanye, and it had cops shot the kid on it without Nas and with a second Kanye verse. And after the TMZ interview, Kanye scrapped it and did what we heard.
Which is amazing that he could come up with Ghost Town in that amount of time. Like, regardless of how anyone feels about the album, just that song and to come up with that.
If any of these songs, I mean, I felt like Killing You was definitely of the time, like spur of the moment. I feel like Ghost Town might have been something that was a Kids See Ghosts song that got transported over because of Free on Kids See Ghosts.
Yeah.
I feel like he might have had at least the skeleton of that song together, because I feel like he was doing other stuff with Shake. Like, I feel like the Shake's, like, because Shake is on most of these projects, if not all of them. I don't know if she's on the Teyana album.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, but she's definitely on the others.
No, she's
See Ghosts.
Yeah, she's not on the Teyana. The Teyana album, the only feature was Kanye.
Right. Although it had a ton of other producers on it, but the only feature was Kanye.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll do Kids See Ghosts now.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like I have so much more to say about Ye. Like, I feel I always want to like it more than I do, and I don't hate it, but whenever I listen to it, I feel like, also, he had to redo, I feel like, Killing You with a different sample, because I guess he got checked for not clearing, and it sucks. Try and find the original, because it sucks with the new sample. He also redid his raps over the new sample, and it sucks. Seriously. The original version is much better. Like,
the original is way better, and to be honest with you, I feel like Killing You is and All Mine are the ones that I like. I feel like Killing You is a decent track, and all Mine's like whatever. Like, I don't really care about it that much either way.
I love the first half of I Feel Like Killing You, and I love the beat on the beat when it switches, but his verse is so dumb.
Right, so I don't like his verse, but I do, like I said, like 2/3 of that song I really like, and All Mine is and then but the rest of the album I enjoy. So I really, if I was gonna play the album, I probably wouldn't play. I might even start it with Yikes. But that said, I don't think it's like a skip. It's like not a skip off the top, but if I
have this album without that intro. I think that intro, like the way he comes in with a spoken word, the most beautiful thoughts are most often next to the darkest. Like that's fucking.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful moment on the album to me, honestly.
I mean,
Like
no,
that's
I think the intro is needed. I just don't know if the song is needed. Like I wish
just do the first half of the song. You don't
yeah.
need the second half. Love that beat, but he does not like he's. I'd rather not have that beat if I don't have to hear him doing the Frito Lay shit.
Exactly. I wish it would just be the first half. Yeah.
And then you could do Yikes, because then like that Yikes hook is so good. That's like a really underrated hook. That shit could get menacing. Like, I love that fucking hook.
Sometimes I was good. Yeah, like he's ground that, and just like the hospital bed, 100 bands, fuck a watch. Like
that line, that the realest shit I ever said on this podcast is when I was in the hospital. I thought about hospital bands, 100 bands, fuck a watch. That line like was all I fucking thought about.
And Kanye, I mean, he's right. He could fucking sell his hospital band for 100 bands. But yeah, I guess to transition to another album that has a lot to do with mental health and religion, honestly, is with K.T.S.E Ghost.
One of the few albums that I can actually safely say does not alienate me with its religious perspective. I actually find it endearing.
Yeah, I find it super endearing, and it's easily the best thing Cudi's done. It's it was probably my second favorite thing Kanye did in the Wyoming Sessions. On some days it could be my favorite. Like the last 3 songs on this are perfect. And this whole shit is an amazing fucking album. Feel the Love coming out with the Kanye going absolutely nuts. Like when I first heard it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be the album. Okay. Like, all right.
Heard that, I'm like, hey, people are gonna hate this shit. Like there are like some people are gonna hate this shit. Like I liked it. I grew to love it. But I was just like, some people are gonna just hate this. Yeah. Like
there are like 4 perfect songs on here, and those are Fourth Dimension and then the last 3 tracks. But the other 3 tracks are still great. It's just though like my 4 favorites, the ones that I know like all the words to and just like have been endlessly listening to. But the whole album, 23 minutes, you can just spin the whole thing. And it's super cohesive, and it's like free with Ty Dolla $ign sings his fucking ass off. Like, that's a great song. Feel the Love, great. You figure it was probably, like I said, Kanye going nuts. Probably the hardest song out of all of like between this and Yay, it was probably the hardest song between the two. And yeah, like great album.
I feel like the flows on this did a lot to, again, like I said, that it was reassuring when Daytona just happened. It was so good. After Yay and the way he was rapping on that, it was reassuring to hear the way he was flowing on this, although I guess it was recorded significantly before Yay. Although he did actually re-record this, parts of it, because the initial leak was re-recorded. If you listen to at least Cudi Montage, he re-records his verse on that from the initial leak. His initial verse on that was way more like relaxed and didn't really fit it as well. Like he's way more aggressive on the one that like everybody has now.
And I love his verse on that so much. The whole like the whole piece.
Yeah. It's some of his like, and his verses on the title track are incredible. We were talking about surprise vocalists with Zach De La Rocha showing up on the end of RTJ3. Mos Def showing up on this made me go so fucking nuts.
Like just the K.T.S.E Ghost sometimes spirit.
Yeah, like we had I think we had listening parties in the chat pretty much, like, well, not like, organized or whatever, just people got together in the chat for every one of the Wyoming drops. It was hard for the Teyana one because he really missed that mark on that. And I think we can say thanks Lauryn Hill for that one, because I'm pretty sure they were just trying to get We Got Love cleared that entire time and they just gave up.
Yeah, I'd probably believe that. They were just like, all right, fuck it, just put the album out. Like,
because if you remember, We Got Love was one of the singles they did on SNL, and I'm pretty sure they were like really high on that song. And then eventually, like, she released it this year, so I'm pretty sure that was what was holding it up. because that was like a day late. Like all of them were late except for Daytona. They were a little late. Like he hit it within 24 hours for all of them. Like NASIR was like 3 hours late. They kept looping the intro. Like it kept, Escobar season begins. Escobar season begins.
Well, also the stream fucked up too
Yeah.
for the Nas. Like the stream crashed, and I remember just people being pissed in the Discord about it. Oh God.
But Kid-C goes. I think another thing about this production, which is so good, is like some of the Kanye really having fun with samples. You have Louis Armstrong on Fourth Dimension.
Yep.
Kane on Cudi Montage. Just really creative sample usage and incredible use of vocalist Ty Dolla. Like that's the thing is like Kanye and Cudi almost always, like there have been very few tracks I don't like them on together. I think it's pretty much just Erase Me on Man on the Moon too. I hate that fucking song.
Really?
So much. That one, like the fake, like Weezer ass rock beat, and Kanye making like Monica Lewinsky blue dress jokes, and like, horrible fucking song.
Damn, I haven't listened to it in forever. I don't know.
Oh, and Poker, that song sucks too. With the Common doing like blowjob jokes.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
But they have a pretty like perfect record of whenever they work together, like from 808s onward. So when they announced it, I was pretty excited, and they did like exactly like, because one of the things that Cudi had struggled with his projects, even his best project, which is Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, which is like 79 minutes long, or not even that. It's like 90 minutes long. It's like as long as Tet's fucking Drogas Wave or something.
Yeah, it's way too fucking long.
It's good. Like there's not a bad song on there, not even the Jaden Smith shit. But I don't want to sit there and listen to that shit for like the length of a movie. Like, sorry, Scott, but this is like 30 minutes long. It's like a more than reasonable length, and it leaves you wanting more because there's not a wasted second on it. There's not a bad second on it. Like even unless you really don't like what Kanye does on Feel the Love, which I guess I get, but I find it fucking hilarious, and then I find it like it fits the song. It's fucking, I don't know. I never disliked it. I just knew people were going to hate it.
Yeah, I don't think that makes sense. I don't think there's like a wasted second. I think my least favorite track is Fire, but it's still a good song for sure.
Dude, I love the way Kanye comes up on that song though. Do it yourself. I don't prove to myself. I got new news to tell. Like I love the way his flow is on that. Like he like creeps up on the beat, and then
his flow on
the fucking like
this is way better than his flow on Ye.
Oh yeah, like some of those flows on Ye were just god awful. Like
right. And it just like I feel like people were like Ye was so divisive, and then this came out and people were like I was like, all right, cool, like this Wyoming session is gonna be legendary. Like when this came out, I just like it just felt like he had, really cemented. Because if Daytona was like the only universally accepted great album from this, then you could be like, the Wyoming sessions, what really were they? But when this came out, I think it really cemented this as like a landmark moment in Kanye's career, which is filled with landmark moments.
Right, I agree, and it's different than anything else in this catalog. I think Reborn, especially like the whole album is informed by mental illness, but Reborn especially tackles it, and I think it's a top 10 Kanye song. I think, although Free is Ghost Town Part 2, I think Reborn is more of a sister song to Ghost Town than Free.
I agree. I think Reborn is the best Cudi anything.
Oh, yeah. Like, to keep moving forward on that is unreal. And that was another thing he changed from the leak. He added more Cudi on that. Not the leak, the listening party version.
Right. Yeah, that song's awesome. I have a very vivid memory tied to that song. There's a lot of winter 2018 into early 2019 was definitely tough, and I just remember listening to that song like on fucking repeat during a lot of nights. So it's always gonna have a special place for me, and I think that was at the time my song of the year. I think it's still definitely one of my favorites from that year.
Yeah, it's probably the best song on here. but there's no bad song on here. There's no second of music I would change. It's the full realization of Cudi's talent. It's unlike anything else in Kanye's catalog and equal to the best things he's ever done. I love it. I loved it from the second I heard it. I have not gotten sick of it. Moving on to something that I liked best when I first heard it and have liked less every second I've heard.
Yeah.
NASIR by NASIR Jones and Kaye West, which, disclaimer, anything I dislike about this album is not Kanye's fault.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. This album is so frustrating.
The best thing about this album is that, speaking of things that like Kanye, like there were shades of the whole Life of Pablo compulsive editor Kanye in this. Like he was always taking them back after the listening parties and adding shit. The best thing about this album is that he took the intro back, and then before you could get it on streaming, he added Diddy on the intro verse to just talk some shit. Like not add a verse or anything, just like talk some shit. And that's way more entertaining than most of the Nas verses on this album. It's just Diddy posturing on the end of it. Yeah, Nas is all the fuck over the place on this. Just, I don't know if he if he wrote these things. Like, they're not. I was so primed to like this when I first heard it. I convinced myself it was better than it was, but this is not an album that holds up on a rapping level to any kind of close scrutiny.
No, not at all. And I mean, Nas in general, like from the intro, I feel like the only song that really from beginning to end, you're like, damn, that shit was fucking great, was Cop Shot the Kid. I mean, there are other, like, I like Bonjour and I like everything, but I don't know, like, I don't need Nas on it. I mean, I think in your review you said something about like Kanye had an extremely like great run of beats from Cop Shot the Kid to Bonjour, and Nas did not have a great run of verses.
Right. I mean, Cop Shot the Kid is good because back then we thought like the biggest thing about protesting the police was that when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, Donald Trump's dumbass managed to color the conversation into thinking he was protesting Donald Trump, which was not the case. Now, protest the police, people were more clear on what we're protesting. But, so, like, Nas's verse is actually a good, like, corrective reminder about that sort of thing. It's, like, simple, it's direct, he doesn't ramble. A lot of these verses are very rambling. Like, on Adam and Eve, he's trying to do a conscious thing, but he ends up talking about what he ate for dinner that night. Like, he rambles about how good the wine was and his pasta. Like, who gives a fuck, Nas?
Yeah.
And several tracks involve him talking about who he's fucking. Who gives a fuck, Nas? He originally had a track called I Can't Explain, which, if you remember the allegations about Khalees that came out around this time, given how Nas is rapping on this album, I'm really glad that track isn't on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really don't explain. That said, I'm shitting on Nas's rapping a lot, but like they're not horrible verses. They're just disappointing because these are really good beats. Like everything is Kanye and Dream for like 6 minutes. It's really like languid. Like if you can think of a Kanye beat, like Hold On that he did with Push or something like that. Like one of those like late 2000s turn of the decade beats where Dream is doing the melodies in the background. Like something like that. Something that you really haven't heard Nas over before. Nas is decent on it, again, but he just can't get to the fucking point. And, Kanye has a lot of variety on here. He kind of bites Madlib directly on Adam and Eve. Madlib would pay him back on the Freddie Gibbs album. And, it's just an album that's never bad, but never remotely as good as you want it to be.
Yeah, that sums it up perfectly. I think I would only come back to like Cop Shot the Kid and Bonjour on this. Like, I don't I don't really remember. I know Adam and Eve they stole it, but I don't really remember like that song. I haven't listened to this album that much. Like I listened to it a couple times when it came out, and I initially had it rated a little higher than I have it now. But it's like very much like it's all right, but it's all right. Like you know what I mean? It's definitely the weakest out of the sessions to me.
I would agree with that. I don't know, like, because the thing, I guess at this point, there's nothing on here even touching Ghost Town. So yeah, I would say it's the weakest out of the sessions, and it feels hollow compared to Ye. At least Ye is deeply felt. I don't think Nas invested himself in these sessions at all, which
No,
is
Nas
like where
didn't want to make this album.
I don't know if that's true. I think Nas didn't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
That's
I
fair.
don't think he wanted to one way or the other. Like and I was like, it's a shame because it's very exciting because everybody's like biggest criticism of Nas forever was, oh, Nas couldn't pick good production. Like Life is Good kind of disproved that. So it's like, okay, great. Now he has Kanye doing all his production, and we've only ever heard Nas on a Kanye beat like once. That was still dreaming on Hip Hop Is Dead. I don't think there was a Kanye beat on Untitled. Oh yeah, and was there a Kanye beat on Life Is Good?
I don't think so.
So there's only like, so yeah, this was like really cool to hear. And then you've heard all the other Wyoming projects. It's like, yeah, Kanye is making amazing beats. And then you
And
hear this
Kanye had
Nas.
always said how much he loved Nas. So
What'd you
like
say?
Kanye had always said that Nas is one of his favorite rappers.
Like,
Like
he
he
has
was
that line
excited.
on the beginning of Dark Fantasy where he shouts out Nas.
Yeah,
So, and then Nas just comes up with this apathetic shit. Like, come on, Nas. And like the bars on Not for Radio with like the conspiracy shit about J. Edgar Hoover and shut up, Nas. No one cares. Fuck out of here. Like,
seriously.
and I mean, that's a like. I feel like every guest came through. Kanye came through, and Nas just kind of. I don't know. The thing is, like, Nas has had features since this that have been good, like on the fucking Gina Echo album and Swiss Beats album of all places. Like, he's come up with features that have been really good since this. So I don't know what the fuck. Like, was he in a bad mood? Like, I, I think the Khalees shit happening around the same time was probably not the right time to make this album.
Yeah, and I don't know because before this, like Nas had said, I mean, on the Khaled album, you know, a couple years prior, Nas album done. You know, he said he had an album ready to
And
go.
not where. Nas album where.
Nas album where? Nas album never coming out.
or something, I believe, at some point. But that just, I was like, yeah, right. Like when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, sure. So, an album with
Yeah, I don't
RZA.
know. Uh, Nas, he's so frustrating, and this just only adds to the legacy of Nas being frustrating.
Nas album, frustrating. Moving
Yeah,
on to, yeah, not really much else to say about this. It's really not, like, if you haven't heard it, it's not bad. It doesn't have much of your time, but it won't impress you. And it's only really, I say it's more for Kanye completists than Nas completists. If you're a Nas stan, you'll probably like it regardless. Because I'm sure there are still ride or die Nas stans out there who maintain everything he puts out as gold. But there have to be less of those than ever.
yeah, it's got to be at an all-time low at this point.
Well, moving on to an album that probably less people heard than any, partially because of the botched drop, partially because just less people were going to care about this drop than any of them. But Teyana Taylor, K.T.S.E. What did that stand for? Did we ever figure that out?
I never figured. I could probably look it up, but I never figured it out. Um, yeah, this was like her big breakthrough. I mean, obviously her big breakthrough album. She only had one album before this, and it was 4 years in between the two of them. So it seemed like she had been kind of in label hell or whatever. But this was a great album, and
This is a
no manners is a phenomenal intro.
yeah. No Manners is those swirling violins, the way she comes in. I got a man, but I ain't got no
Oh,
manners.
manners, yeah, yep.
So fucking beautiful. And then the way it like transitions to like the lilting Tropicalia of Gonna Love Me. That's just like a beautiful. Like, that's the word that comes up over and over with the album. It's just very lush and layered, and the way Kanye uses samples on this album is, I mean, I don't know if I could give him exclusively the credit, because if you look at the production credits, like 7 people are on every song.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not sure if it's because somebody sued him before, and it's like, if you were in the studio contributing even a little bit, he's going to give you credit to make sure that, like, you get some kind of due so he doesn't get in legal trouble, because that might be the case. I don't know. I feel like he's just naturally a collaborator, and like, not everybody was doing everything. Like, I don't feel like he's somebody who is just putting his name on shit, not doing any work. But I don't feel like I don't know if I'm making sense here.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, you don't know how collaborative the effort really was.
I mean, I feel like it was a collaborative effort, but I don't feel like, I don't know who did what, essentially. And I don't feel like it's something where Kanye did nothing. But I don't feel like but I feel like he probably chose the primary samples in a lot of cases, at the very least. And I feel like some of these people were just engineers. Like, I don't think Plain Pat produces beats. Like, Mike Dean is not primarily, like, a producer in the traditional sense.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't think it's... Mike Dean is more... I mean, he's an engineer, too, right? Like, he does, like, engineer stuff.
He has produced, but he's also he came up as an engineer. That's his main role. So... Rose in Harlem was my initial favorite song. I've kind of grown to say No Manners because it's such a perfect intro.
Yeah.
Listening to it again, Gonna Love Me is just fucking gorgeous. I really like that. Three-Way has the obligatory, at this point, thirsty Kanye verse. Like, everyone except Daytona has... Well, no. Oh, yeah, we already talked about that. The thirst Kanye verses. But it's not bad. It doesn't ruin the song or anything. Like, I think his flow on it's nice. And how do we feel about it's the only Wyoming album to go 8 tracks?
Yeah, because it has the WTP at the end, which is a very fun song, and a song that people...
I was thinking about this when I was driving around, and I was like, we're not going to say the real name of the song because we're just going to come across like assholes. So
yeah, but yeah, that was a fun song. Rose in Harlem was also one of my favorite songs of 2018. Like, and No Manners too, but Rose in Harlem, man, that shit, like, the sample and, like, the way the strings are, and just, like, what she's talking about on that is so relatable. Like, you know, I think a lot of us have been there. Just like being surrounded by people who you thought were real but actually were fake, and it was like the ones that you thought were closest to you. Like, that's a concept that's been done a million times, but she sounds amazing on it, and it's a great song.
And I feel like a lot of the string work on this album and the production kind of calls back to what Kanye was doing with John Bryan on late Registration.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, in terms of the layers, in terms of the instrumentation. And that song definitely kind of gives me Gone vibes a little bit. I love the way she delivers her lines on that. Her delivery is very, very assertive. The lyrics are great, as you said, very relatable. Yeah, I pretty much love everything about this album. The bonus track sounds nothing like anything else, but I think it's fucking great. It'd be great to dance to. I would never be caught dancing to it in public because I'd look like a fucking fool. But
it's definitely a fun song.
Have you really infuriated read the Pitchfork review of this album?
Really, it's that bad?
It compliments the album but slags it off. It compliments the music on the album but slags it off solely based on the fact that Kanye was involved with it. And it says that Kanye is trying to co-opt the LGBTQ movement because of WTP.
Huh.
It's a really infuriating review, and the way I didn't think they made those anymore on Pitchfork. Normally Pitchfork's just middle of the road, like, you know, who cares?
Right.
Like, honestly, like, even if you cared about Pitchfork when they were annoying, like, you care too much, but like, they haven't made anything like that could rile anybody up in years, I thought, but this one was really aggravating because they had a hate boner for, like, they were the ones who actually rose to the bait of Kanye's, like, when it was just like a album release, like, stunt. Like, they were the ones who immediately rose to the bait.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of publications did at the time. You know, Ye was pretty, you know, lukewarmly received. And I remember,
Jeff Weiss tore it apart.
Oh yeah, he definitely he was not a fan. Did he like Kids Egos? Do we know?
I don't even know if he listened to it, to be honest with you.
It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't listen to it. No, a lot of music journalism, Twitter does not fuck with Kanye, at least since 2018. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of the stuff from these sessions didn't didn't do well in the critical eye outside of like a Daytona,
Well, yeah,
which
Daytona.
which later that year Daytona was on a lot of year-end lists, but wasn't toward the top. And I wonder if it was just the Kanye association.
I could see that. I mean, Daytona was always going to be received differently as a Pusha solo album than a Kanye project, but I feel like it was never going to be received at the top because of the Kanye association. I think you're right.
And also, it really made me realize like the difference in. I mean, look, we are also in like a music forum like bubble, essentially, where like a lot of stuff comes out to us that's like a big deal. And not, I mean, the Pusha T is not the example for that, but just like in general, I was thinking about this. Like a lot of stuff that comes out to us will be like a big deal, or people in RYM. But in like and like when it comes to like music journalists or like publications, it's less of a big deal. And then real life, it's not a big deal at all. So it's just it kind of makes me think about like me really liking a certain album, and then like sometimes I wouldn't go looking for reviews of it because I know that it's not going to be as warmly received or as talked about versus like when popular, like, when like I'm trying to think of an album that like did well on RYM, but nothing crazy, but like, I don't know, like a Mitski album or something, like a good album, but like big album and like, those like kind of music journalism circles that year or two, was it last year and then 2017, 2016, those two like Mitski albums were like good albums. But like, I didn't care too much about them, but they were like big deals, But on RYM, an album like that isn't really like a huge deal. Like it'll get a lot of ratings, but it's not like a discussion point kind of album. And so it's just interesting, like that separating that, like, there's just like some sections of RYM, like a niche rap release, that's like experimental hip hop or whatever, might be like a big deal, but in like the music press, it's not as big of a deal. Just interesting, like considering the two sides of that. Like how many music publications outside of the hip hop ones reviewed Arm & Hammer?
I don't think you're going to see it in Rolling Stone.
Right, like and Paul Thompson, who's an excellent writer, did the Pitchfork one, which is great to see.
A review that everybody should read, by the way. I just shit on Pitchfork, but their Arm & Hammer review was absolutely fantastic, and everybody read it.
They still have some people there that are good, but you just have like a lot of the people that used to be good there just end up writing for like Passion of the Weiss now, or like other places. So, little off topic, but kind of relates to your point about the Teyana review. That like, I feel like it goes into like we think this album's so great and such a big deal, but in a lot of places it probably wasn't a big deal.
Well, I feel like a lot of what ultimately part of the reason I wanted to do this episode is because I feel like a lot of these albums did get forgotten because the music got forgotten because of the reception to Kanye, because ultimately Kanye gets received on a celebrity level now and has been for quite some time, not a musical level. Like when he releases something, it's about how he releases it and why he releases it, not what he releases.
Yeah, I feel like the only album that wasn't forgotten was Daytona, and that's because it had the beef attached to it.
Exactly. If you don't have the Drake element there, then it probably would have just been like, rapturously received by rap nerds and not really remembered as much. Like if you don't have Infrared on there and then add it on 2 weeks later.
Right, because I remember a lot of people that.
I'm sorry. Can we just talk about the fucking beef for a second? Because I just remembered like how fucking like we were just like, so Drake drops I'm Upset, and it's like, when's Push gonna respond? When's Push gonna respond? Is Push gonna respond? And then he fucking drops Added On. And it's like how he played everybody and how Drake played into it perfect. And he drops fucking I'm Upset as his fucking song.
Well,
He's
apparently I'm Upset was supposed to come out that Friday as a single. That's what the legend has. But the problem is Push's album dropped that Friday, like normally, whatever. But I don't think Drake knew Infrared was on the Push album. So Drake dropped Duppy Freestyle the next day. And then Drake waited a day or two and then was like, "Oh yeah, here's a single for my album." Da, 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 da. And it's I'm Upset, which of course is a terrible title just because of how it fit into the context. But then the song is nothing like Duppy Freestyle.
Right.
And you're like, what is this? Whatever. Like, it's just okay. It's a random album track. And then Pusha T comes back without it on like 2 nights later. And you're just like, oh my fuck. I was at work and I go home and I check the Discord and it has like 800 messages. And I'm like, okay, something happened. And it was just like, I listened to it and just, you see the fucking cover art, man. Like, oh my God.
Yo, Big Ghost got in that cover art.
Oh my God. It's definitely one of like the 5 best diss songs ever.
Daytona album of the year. Are you upset?
You upset. Oh my, bro, can we talk about, I read a great profile this week. Shout out, I don't know the guy whose name it was, but his Twitter name is My Otter Academia. And he's a great writer. And he spent a few days with 40 and he wrote a great profile on him. And 40 in the interview talks about his reaction to hearing Adidon. And he was like, yeah, it fucking hurt. Like,
I would imagine. Holy shit.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, he's like, I don't even know him. I've like never met him.
He just told me I'm gonna die soon.
Like, he was like, yeah, I don't have anything to say about the guy because I never met him before, but it just fucking hurt. I just posted, and 40 on his Instagram posted like the World MS Day like awareness post. That was his only response.
That's the definition of shrapnel right there.
God, this is like this poor fucking, Jewish guy from Toronto. I think he's Jewish. Actually, I don't know if he's Jewish, but whatever. This poor, guy who's never wants the public spotlight at all. He's such a recluse. Like, he always wants to be in the background. And Pusha T's like hunched over like he 80. Tick, tick, tick. How much time? That man is 6 seconds. He does the 6 ad-libs in the background. Oh my God.
And also the way he goes at Drake's dad.
Oh, he said, your father walked away at 5, hell of a dad thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Stay off the gram.
And he's like, yo, your dad is a deadbeat. And it's funny because Drake can't even say shit because Drake in his songs in years past had said shit like that about like his, estranged relationship with his dad and how like his mom was like the rock. So Drake has no ammo. Like, you did that to yourself, essentially.
This is like somebody throws a stone at your car and you run them over.
Also, people have made jokes about this in recent years, but Pusha T literally top 5 diss song ever also because he bullied Drake into being a better dad.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like the ultimate in like shaming you into being a better parent.
Yeah. Drake literally became a better parent and was like more open with like taking care of his kid and everything in public and all that shit. And like being there for his kid. And it's just like before that Drake had never said a word, obviously. So
his son deserved more than an Adidas press run, that's for sure.
And the last track on Scorpion.
Thank you for reminding me Scorpion exists, you asshole.
Well, if you remember, the last song was definitely supposed to be the big reveal.
Oh,
we talked about this in the Drake episode, which will come out at some point. But we talked about how, like, Scorpion, I think that, like, part of it, that element of it, would have felt so hollow after the Pusha T, after Adidon came out.
Right,
but you knew that it was the reveal.
Yeah, there was just so much going on within the whole Kanye thing. Like, that wasn't even the biggest story. Was like, because everybody was just so focused on what he was doing on a week-to-week basis politically. And ultimately, it wasn't. I mean, he did get, like, he kept mentioning the 13th Amendment stuff, which, to tie it all together, was, if you remember Reagan, one of the key lines in Reagan, if you think slavery is abolished.
Yeah. Well, also to our listeners, watch 13th. It's a great documentary. It's on Netflix right now. It's been on Netflix for like 4 years. I watched. It came out shortly after Trump was elected, just coincidentally, I think. But it's a great documentary on the 13th Amendment and like why private prisons are fucking evil, and et cetera, et cetera.
And also, if you looking for some reading material, this is not directly relevant, but it's called Slavery by Another Name by I cannot believe this is the man's name, but Douglas Blackman. His last name is Blackman. Basically about what replaced slavery in Reconstruction. What set the groundwork for the 13th Amendment. So how we got people of color into prisons and got their labor. Because I was talking about this with my wife the other night, is that I feel like we've whitewashed the conversation about slavery into it's just, oh, we hate them. Like, you know, white people hate black people, and that's why there's slavery. It was primarily a system of labor and convenience.
Yeah. No, 100%. And like that.
Like, yes, there were people who were prejudiced, obviously, like, you know, 100%, but it's labor exploitation.
It's economic fucking. It's the same. It's a product of capitalism, and we've seen it evolve through the years.
You know, as a wise man said, "Kill your masters." We're living off borrowed time. Our outro music is by Can Kick, Staggered Pace. Have a good week.
It ain't gonna never stop. 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 It ain't gonna never stop.
Time will tell. Time is yet to be conquered by man. But when the time is right, perhaps the greatest revelation of all time will dawn upon us.